determined to grow up hearts open to pursue the extraordinary. Because you are extraordinary. And now, it's your host, Catherine Lang.
Hello there, and welcome to Growing Hope. I am Catherine Lang, your face of encouragement or voice of encouragement, depending on where we're hanging out. And today we are invested in creating our best lives, in taking the steps that we need to take in order to walk out the path that we are uniquely designed to walk out, doing it your way. Your path is the only path that you can walk with complete success. And you are the only one that can walk it out. You get to define your path. You get to walk it out, and you get to do it in your way. Because you are uniquely designed to walk this path. Nobody else can do it. And on this journey of growing hope, of growing the hearts that are open to pursue the extraordinary, it is all about your extraordinary, what you define as your extraordinary, what you define as success, and what you define as the path that you're going to walk. We are through asking for permission, and we're through making excuses for our unique design. You're here for a reason, and we're going to live it boldly. And we're going to start out by learning to talk butterfly. And you can go over to growinghoperadio.com and you can find out more about learning to talk butterfly. And then we're moving into this process of keeping on. Because once you take flight into your possibilities, you have to keep going. You have to keep investing. You have to keep doing what needs to be done in order to reach that final place, in order to cross the finish line and bring that big dream goal to life. And today we're focused on learning how learning feeds your mind. Yesterday it was all about how learning feeds the heart, but today it's about feeding the mind. What does it do when you learn something new? What does it do to your mind? Well, it improves your knowledge retention. The more you learn, the more you can learn. It also, the second thing is that it promotes problem solving. So as you learn more, you can find more ways to recover, to do better, to not flub your recording. The third thing is that learning stimulates a hunger to learn. As you learn, you want to learn more, or you want to learn something different, or you want to learn something new. And fourth, learning hones your critical thinking skills. And finally, learning, it just makes you feel better. And we all want to feel better, right? Now, it's important to know that when we are learning to grow into our possibilities, all of these things come to fruition. When we are learning to feed the negatives, just the opposite's going to happen. So if you are trying to find the things that are going to prove the person next to you wrong, or that is going to give you fodder for starting an argument on social media, it's not going to do what you need it to do. But if you are learning in order to pursue your unique design and to walk out the path that you are designed to walk out, it's going to do all these things for you and so much more. And what's great is that the more you learn, the more you can learn. I had this amazing teacher when I was a junior in school, and she could speak 7 languages, which is huge considering I speak English and I speak Southern. And anybody that knows, truthfully, I speak a little bit of English, a lot of American, and a whole lot of Southern. But she spoke completely different languages. And what she told me was that the more she learned, the more her brain became wired to be able to learn to speak languages. So the more we're learning, the more we're setting ourselves up to learn. So the first way, remember that learning feeds the mind, is that it improves our knowledge retention. The more we invest in learning, the more it helps us to hold on to what we've learned. First, you begin to understand how you learn. And when you know how you learn and you know how you best retain what you learned, then you can repeat that process. But if you are trying to learn in the ways that everybody told you you had to do it, then you may struggle. I've only recently discovered that doodling can help you retain what you learn. Now, I doodled all through school. It was one of my favorite things to do was to create little insects, butterflies, ladybugs. Who knew that before I was told that it helped me with learning, I was actually utilizing a tool that was helping me learn. But it helped. I knew that if I did this, I learned. Now, when I got to a position where I couldn't doodle without getting in trouble, then what I did was write. So if I was writing what I was hearing, I'm very tactile, right? I would write out what I was hearing and sometimes what I was getting out of what I was hearing, especially in a sermon. Don't ever look at my notes in order to figure out what the sermon was about because sometimes the two don't have anything in common other than the giver, right? So, but you improve your ability to retain the information that you are learning when you continue to invest in learning, when you continue to attempt new um, subjects, new directions, new pathways. So, the more that we're invested in this learning process, the more we begin to understand how we best can retain what we're learning. And remember, it's different for all of us. Every single one of us learns differently. Find your way to learn so that you can retain what you're learning. The second thing is that learning will help promote your problem solving skills. You the more you learn, the more you can pile up what you've learned and get yourself out of a situation. I was giving a presentation at a college, and one of the young ladies asked me a question about, I don't know, science fiction writing or some genre that I don't delve in. And taking off everything I had learned about writing in experience and in courses that I had taken and in conferences I had attended, I totally made up an answer. But it sounded completely feasible because of all the learning that I had done. So I had solved my way out of the situation. Now, I confess that I completely made it up, but I used it to point out that when we learn, then we can apply that learning in different ways to different things. So I can apply these different ideas and these different understandings to these different genres, and I don't have to be locked in to what the genre says. That's what learning does. It gives us the skills to be able to look outside the box that the industry has said is there, or that the denomination has said is there, or that the pastor said is there, or your parents, or your teachers, or whoever it is. We're able to see beyond these limits because we're learning more and then we're weaving what we're learning into our path. Remember, you want to learn from as many different people as you can, but then you want to take that learning and you want to apply it to your unique path because you learn differently, but you're also walking a different path than everybody else. So as we learn more, we have more to draw from in order to find our way out of any problems that we come into, or down any paths, or around any detours, or through any blocks that show up. That's what learning does. It gives us more tools that we can use to do what we need to do. But you have to be invested in learning in order to have more of a pool to draw out of when you're searching for a new path, new understanding, or a new way. The third way that learning feeds the mind is that it stimulates a hunger to learn. As you learn, you want to learn more. Our youngest son has really come into his own about history. And every time he learns something about history, he shares it with us. And then he has to go learn something else. So he has more to share with us. So his learning is feeding his learning. When it comes to scripture, when I read a story in the scripture that I'm not familiar with, or I read an understanding that maybe comes up against what I had heard or what I had been taught, I dig in deeper because the learning that I have just received feeds the want to learn even more, to understand even deeper. So as we invest in learning, we actually stimulate the desire to learn more. Now, I'm not talking about you want to go sit in a classroom for 80 hours and learn a new skill. I'm talking about you have a hunger to understand more. And you understand more as you gain more knowledge. And you gain more knowledge by being intentionally invested in the learning process. It's not just about going to a class. Going to a class may be a way for you to learn, but you can't just go to the class and learn. You have to be actively invested in in learning that information, and remember, going back to in a way that you can retain it. It has to be about how you retain it. So some people may record the lesson and then play it back. Some people may write it all out. It's whatever works for you, because this is your journey. You have to determine what works for you and then apply it to you. And as you are learning, you'll find that you want to learn more. And the more that you learn, the bolder you will become, especially when you focus in on your unique design. The more you learn about your unique design, the more you understand your unique design, the bolder you will be about walking down the path to live your unique design. The fourth thing that learning does to feed the mind is that it hones your critical thinking skills, because learning expands your ability to analyze. And so it enhances your decision making abilities. How many of us can't don't have a need for better decision making abilities, especially when we're trying to drive on Highway 431 in Boaz? We need to make better decisions, but you can't make better decisions with the same information that you have today. You need better information in order to be able to make better decisions. And you need to learn in order to gain that better information. So the more that we find ways to invest in learning, reading our Bible every single day, whether or not it's you start just 5 minutes a day, but you consistently read the word every single day, or you're invested in a study, either a book study, a word study where you pull one word out of a scripture and you dig in deeper to what that word really means, or you're doing an actual Bible study that takes you through questions, either through a chapter in the scripture or a book in the scripture, or a concept, an idea, learning to pray better, learning to build better relationships, whatever. But you need to find ways to be invested in learning, because that learning is going to feed your ability to make better decisions. It's going to increase your critical thinking and your decision making skills. Every step that we take requires a decision, and we need to be fueled with the right learning in order to make the decisions that are going to get us to where we want to go. If you're just stepping out blindly, odds are pretty good that you will run into a wall. But if you have all the information you need, then you can walk the path that you're called to walk out. So be invested in feeding your mind through learning so that you can know what you need to know to make the choices that you need to make. And finally, the learning feeds the mind and it makes you feel better. I mean, who knew? I had no clue that learning actually releases the same dopamine, the feel-good chemical, into your mind, into your body. So you feel a high when you learn something new, when you are invested in knowing, um, learning something for your path, learning your unique purpose. It's probably why we light up when we have those aha moments. You could almost see the excitement on somebody's face when they learn something new, or a revelation comes on them, and it's just like, wow, that's so cool. But it also boosts your motivation, because now you got that dopamine running through you. You're motivated to learn more. You're motivated to do more. You're motivated to take the next step. And surprisingly, it helps you focus. It helps you focus in on what you're learning and what you're doing. So as you're learning, you're getting excited, you're getting motivated, and you're getting really tuned in to what it is, to the focus of your learning. So when you're invested in learning your unique design and understanding the steps you need to take to walk out your path, those aha moments fill you up, motivate you, fire you up. And then, like my friend Jean, who got fired up yesterday, you send your friend 1,400 texts saying, "Oh, look, this is great." Ah! So, because you're all excited about what you're learning. And in your excitement, you're fueled to learn more and to share. And when we're sharing this excitement about our journey to live our best lives, we light other people up, because fire is catching. And when we're on fire for our unique design, we light other people up along the way. And soon we've got everybody on fire for their unique design that walks out the will of God in this world. And what do we end up doing? We turn this world upside right. All because we made an investment in learning. Learning feeds your mind. And when you invest in learning, you'll improve the knowledge retention. You will promote problem solving. You will stimulate a hunger to learn more. You will hone your critical thinking skills, and you'll just feel better. You'll feel better about your journey, and you'll feel better about what you're doing. So you need to be invested in finding ways to learn so that you feed your mind. Because as we're walking out this path of our unique design, as we're moving from being tethered to the ground like a caterpillar into taking flight like a butterfly, we have to feed our abilities, feed our minds, so that we can do what we are uniquely called to do and not get distracted in doing all this other stuff. Because there's going to be other stuff that you can do, but just because you can do it doesn't mean you should do it. Just because it's a good thing doesn't mean it's a God thing. And we are called to walk out our unique design in God's will for our life. But that requires us learning what His will is and how that pertains to our walk. Each time we're invested in learning, we move closer to that understanding. Now, if you're struggling in any way to find your unique design, to understand your walk, to invest in learning, please reach out to me today. You can go to catherinelang.com and you can just click on the button, schedule a free 20-minute call with me, and we can talk about whatever it is you want to talk about. There'll be a place for you to tell me what it is that you want to talk about in that call. Let's be invested in each other and grow up this understanding to live our best lives through our learning. Thank you so much for joining me for today's Growing Hope. I can't wait to hear from you. Be invested in learning this week, and in all that you're doing, be blessed and be a blessing.
Thank you for joining us for Growing Hope with Catherine Lang, where we are sharing hope, encouragement, and inspiration to do more. Visit www.catherinelang.com to invite Catherine to be part of your event or to share your own stories of possibility living. Until next time, remember that a seed of hope planted and nurtured will grow up into a world of possibilities.